Hi. I know it's been such a long time. I don't even know how to do this anymore, honestly. I like went on my Instagram stories and I like didn't know how to talk to people. I don't even really have anything to talk about. I'm gonna go check comments to see if like there are things that I should discuss, because I get nothing. I was in New York. I took a long break, and basically it was because, I guess we could talk about that. I took a long break basically because it's a culmination of like so many different things, and I'm sure you guys have experienced all of them. Just, I'm so sick of talking about the past fucking year and how shitty it's been, but I do think that all kind of like came together, and I just felt like just such a rut, just like a rut. It like creatively, in my motivation, in just like my personal life, in everything. I just felt like such a rut because you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, which is just like nothing. And like, where does your inspiration come from? You know what I mean? Like, it just makes you kind of not even want to like talk about anything. That's how I felt. So I took a really long break from this because, number one, I wanted to just kind of like focus on my makeup channel, I guess. And then also, all the previous things that I just said. And it felt really good. It felt really good. But it also felt kind of shitty because I was like recognizing that I didn't feel like motivated to be talking about things or like be creative, But on the other hand, it felt really good to just like not, like I wasn't talking in my stories. I was like filming and uploading YouTube videos on my makeup channel, but I just wasn't interacting with social media very much. It was like doing the work, putting it out there, and then like coming back to real life, which I think is just like something that everybody needs, And unfortunately, like my job is, you can't see this cat, but she just like jumped on the back of my chair. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you being such a mountain climber? Zyva, this is so ridiculous. She looks adorable though. You can't see her. You look sloppy. Are you happy now? Goof. Zyva. I'll put a photo of like what she's doing right now. It's really adorable. Anyway, I can't remember what I was saying now because I was rudely interrupted by my cat. Can you settle? Can you settle? Anyway, so that's basically like where I was. And even still, it just kind of like feels weird doing this right now. Like, it doesn't feel normal. I'm especially with this going on behind me, like she's trying to get comfortable on my chair. Distracting. Super rude of you to make this about yourself. Oh yeah, I was looking for comments. Anyway, so my boyfriend and I went to New York for about a week or so just to get out of LA and visit. He hasn't seen his family in a really long time. It's where he's from, and visit friends and stuff, which was like amazing. It was just nice to like get out of this apartment. And also just like, I've been very bored with LA, mostly just probably because there have been no opportunities to actually take advantage of it, which like is such a lie because I live in Los Angeles where there's like a lot of outdoor hiking and like beaches and stuff, but I'm just like not a beachy person. I think we've gone hiking like twice. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was just nice to get like a different vantage point, I think. I guess I'll just wait on these. So I did come to the conclusion that, and I'm sure my boyfriend is going to be so happy about this because he's from New York, that New York City is the best city in the entire world. Granted, I haven't been to all the ones, I should say in the US at least. It is superior to LA, I'll say that at least. And it was really interesting comparing them, Now, obviously, I'm like visiting. I don't know, whatever. I'm talking about this now. Hope you're interested. It's interesting visiting because he's from there. We had his like family apartment where he grew up to stay. So it was like a place where like people live. We were alone. His parents were upstate. So it wasn't like staying in a hotel room and, picking and choosing, like doing touristy things, you know what I mean? So I feel like every time I go there, I have a pretty good understanding of what it would be like to live there. because we're hanging out with his friends who are also like from New York. We're doing like, you know what I mean? We're doing like regular things. We're not being touristy. I mean, kind of, like we did some touristy things. But in that, it gives me a very good understanding of the differences between Los Angeles and New York. And I couldn't help but like constantly be comparing them while we were there. Just thinking about like what the people are like and what the, you know, I think people, there's like this weird cliche that like people are always like, oh, the energy, there's so much energy, the energy of New York. And I think that happens, or people think that way, or they use that term because it's like condensed. There's a lot of people. They're constantly moving. You're in a subway. Everybody's on top of each other. You know, you're constantly surrounded by people who are going somewhere and doing something. The things that I noticed immediately was just like the way the people look. No one is trying to impress anybody. Even the people who are like, look dope as fuck, who are like wearing a dope ass outfit, which obviously you see a lot of. An example is like I saw this woman when we were on the subway and she was like wearing just like a sick outfit, like very chic. And she had like Gucci sneakers on and they were like so dirty. And what I think was really interesting about that is that like everybody in New York has like dope style, like sick outfits. Most people aren't like, you don't see people wearing makeup. They're just like rocking their faces. Hair like is cool, but like maybe not so done, like not so perfect. And they all have cool shit, like designer shit. Maybe they got it at a thrift store, maybe they got it at a sample sale, whatever, but like they use it. And that's why it's dirty. It's like, I got these sick ass Gucci shoes and I'm gonna wear them and it's gonna rain sometimes. And I think that's really interesting. Like it's a very different, it's just so different from LA. Like LA is so, the weather's amazing all the time. Like today I'm literally looking outside right now. I have the window open and it's just blue sky, sunny blue sky. That's always what it is. It's very easy living. You don't have to worry about that kind of thing. You can drive, you don't have to worry about public transportation. You're not going to get, caught up in, I mean, obviously like there's traffic and stuff, but for the most part, like it's very spread out. So you can usually find parking, or at least a parking garage. New York is like street parking, forget about it. Garages are so expensive. You know what I mean? It's like you have to walk. You're forced to be uncomfortable, which is an observation that I made when we were there. You have to be uncomfortable. Like you have to be ready to plan to be like, I have to leave by this time. There's going to be snow. There's going to be rain. I have to wear these things. I have to bring this stuff. Like you might have like multiple times. It rained literally the entire time we were in New York. It was so annoying. But there were times where like you're literally just like seeking shelter in a Whole Foods until the rain stops, or you're like under an awning in the cold and the rain and the wind, and you're like waiting for a taxi or whatever. You know what I mean? Or you're trying to decide like, should we get a taxi or should we like walk to this bus stop, or not bus stop, but you know what I mean? The whatever. And I just thought that was like, it's annoying, but I recognized that like, I do love the easy living here in LA. It's comfortable. It can be like very motivating as far as like doing active things because you're not uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's easier to wake up to the sun and be like, I'm gonna go for a hike and I'm gonna go for a walk and like do these nice things outside, but it's very easy. And I think this is something that I talked about like a while back, and I got a lot of people agreeing with me. This isn't a criticism really, it's just an observation that East Coasters, particularly Northeasterners, versus like Southern Westerners, versus like people who are LA natives, they're very different people. Like they're very different. And I think one of the things that is like contributes to that is the fact that people who grow up in the Northeast and New England and in New York and in that whole area deal with fucking weather and those like hardships, if that's what you want to call them. But just planning and having to be uncomfortable. Like I remember having to walk in 20-degree weather, like first of all, going to school, wake up early so that I can like warm up my car and clean off all the snow and the ice, drive in that, park my car and walk like over a mile to my class at like 7:30 in the morning when it's like 20 degrees. You know what I mean? Kids who grow up in LA don't have that. Like, you know, they don't have snow days. They don't have ice and sleet and hail and like, well, I mean, that's not true. That happens occasionally here, but it lasts like 5 seconds. Like a thunderstorm here is literally like some storm rolls in for like 2 seconds and then you're like, that was weird. And then it goes away and it happens like every 3 years. You know what I mean? Anyway, I was thinking a lot about like what that does to a kid when they're growing up, because I do think that, and I don't know if you could call that hardship, but it's like some kind of a struggle, right? It's like, it's being uncomfortable. You're forced to be uncomfortable. You have to walk in the snow. You have to be cold. You have to be like really, really hot because, for instance, New England weather, it's like, it'll be 50 one day and then like the next day it's like 90 degrees and there's all these storms and stuff and it's super humid. You know what I mean? That crazy New England weather. You're forced to be uncomfortable. And in this place, it doesn't really exist. Anyway, I do think that things like that, growing up with things like that is really important. Because I've been thinking a lot about like where I want to settle. And I never really thought about like leaving LA, that like that was going to be a thing that I wanted to do. But every time I go back to New York, I just feel like it's a better fit. As far as like my personality, you can blend a lot easier. Los Angeles, for whatever reason, everything's perfect. Everybody is like trying to portray a certain front. And I think there's a lot of things that have to do with that. For instance, the weather is just so like, it's so comfortable. So it kind of makes people a little bit like it's not, oh, this little cat. Hi. She's such a goof. Like you're like, you can buy those same Gucci shoes and they're gonna look perfect all the time because it never rains here. You know what I mean? It's like that. Like everything's so like perfect. Everything has to look perfect. People have like a full face of makeup on and their hair done and their fake tits and their nose jobs and their filler and their Botox and all their microblading and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying that people don't do that in New York, but I would say the majority of the people that I came into contact with or just like observed just had their face, you know? It was just their face. And I really appreciated that. And that's not to say that I didn't see like cool makeup, but it was usually like, you know, someone with like their face and like cool red eyeliner. You know what I mean? Like rocking, but just that. Like they're not trying to look like anything but themselves, which I fucking love. It was weird, honestly, to see so many like normal looking people. And by normal, I just mean I'm not like judging, like people get work done. I obviously got under eye filler and then dissolved it because that was a horrible idea. But I just really, you felt that kind of, that like no one there was trying to impress anyone. And I've just decided that those are the kind of people that I want to be around. Because it's very disturbing and discouraging, I think, when you're like, everywhere that you go, you come into contact with people who have, I'm not trying to like talk shit about people who've had work done, because I think to each their own, you know, but I do think that like, it's just a weird thing to be around. It feels very unnatural, well, because it is, but it just feels weird to be surrounded by people who've had so much work done. Because I was thinking about Kylie Jenner the other day, and like, I mean, it's undeniable, like everything that she's done to her body and her face and everything, you know, at a really young age. Her tail is literally wrapped around me right now. This is like the cutest thing I've ever seen. And I think I mentioned, I can't remember what video I mentioned it in, but I did talk about how like, just this job in general, like being on camera and everything, I'm constantly seeing myself. Like I see myself in the monitor, in mirror, I have to stare at myself in the mirror. And then again, when I'm editing, I have to like look at myself in like high def, you know, and I don't use filters or anything. I like want you guys to see the detail, but I'm noticing things that like I'm just like noticing everything, you know? And so my like idea or my consideration, I guess, of like getting work done is it kind of fluctuates because I will see other YouTubers and just colleagues who talk about getting filler and Botox and just things like that. And they just look nice and smooth. And I'm like, oh, am I going to look like, are they going to be like looking nice and smooth? And I'm going to be like compared to them, you know? But I have to keep reminding myself that like, that's, again, no judgment to those people. Like, I think like to each your own, you make your own decisions and whatever you want to do. But I do think that like, there's a reason that that's become such a thing that people like, it's become something that just like everybody does, at least in LA. And I think that's why I was so attracted to like the people that I came into contact with in New York, because they weren't, I saw facial movement, you know what I mean? I saw crow's feet and it was great. And I saw people's skin without makeup and it was just like amazing, you know? Anyway, I don't know. That was just on my mind while I was there. And it's kind of been something that I've been thinking about since I got back. And I kind of just want to like hold on to that a little bit more. I want to hold on to that like New York style and way of thinking and like comfortability and just kind of like anonymity almost. Like you don't feel like you're standing out. You feel like you're just blending in. And I kind of feel like in LA, it's the opposite of that. Like, because there's so much of a front, this is obviously a generalization, but Los Angeles obviously is the home of Hollywood, and the history of Hollywood was like these people that were put on this pedestal, and they were not meant to, we weren't supposed to know that they were supposed to be like gods and goddesses. Like we weren't supposed to know that they had flaws. And obviously that's changed with social media and how, you know, it's changed a bit with social media. Some people are very open now, you know, people who we would consider to be like famous or whatever, have influence. I don't know. Some people are open with their like their insecurities and their flaws and just being honest about like who they are. Some people aren't. Obviously social media has like contributed to this kind of front. You know, you can choose what you put out there. It's like, I'm way less likely to choose a very unflattering photo of me and put it on the internet than I am to choose something that I think I look good in, right? But because Los Angeles is home to Hollywood and that was like the history of it, like we look at these celebrities, they have work done, they don't talk about it. They look perfect, like all like photo shoots lit a perfect way. Obviously, like I'm lit, like I'm not trying to light myself to look like unattractive, right? I just think that that kind of like seeps into like the culture of the city, basically. Obviously, once again, generalization, it's not everybody, but those are just the differences that I have seen. And also just like in the attitude of the people. This whole video is just like me talking about visiting New York. I've been a bunch of times, just this isn't like, this is a conclusion that I've come to over like years. Yeah, it's just the differences that I noticed. That's it. I don't really have anything, I don't really know why I'm talking about this in particular. I just kind of like wanted to talk about like, I don't know, I miss that. I as soon as we got here, it obviously feels good to be home because this is like my home and I'm comfortable and I have all my things, but I didn't miss it pretty much immediately. I don't know, I just kind of feel like I'm over this place. You know? What do you guys think? Anybody out there who's visited both and had a similar viewpoint, I guess? Man, but it's so hard, like thinking about moving to New York City and just the shitty weather, you know? It's hard. It's really nice to not have to think about the weather. To just wake up and be like, ooh, it's 60, it's a little chilly, I'll put a sweater on. You know what I mean? Winter. Conclusion, New York is the superior city. LA is fine, it's good to visit. It's nice to, I would love to be bi-coastal and have places in both cities. That's the goal. But I don't think that I belong here. I felt much more creative. As soon as I got back here, I don't know what it is. As soon as I got back here, it was like, I woke up the next day And I was like, oh, I feel like refreshed and energized. And then it's like a few hours later, I'm just like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. So maybe what I said about like this waking up to the sun and you know, having energy and like wanting to like be active, maybe that's a lie. I don't know. I'd be interested in your thoughts. I haven't been to Chicago. I really haven't like traveled around this country very much. I've been to a lot of random places. I've been to Philly, right? Yeah, I haven't seen other cities. So like what are the cities in this country that are like, because I in my mind it's like, and same with my boyfriend, LA, New York. Those are the cities in the US. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I genuinely haven't visited Chicago. I haven't visited the other ones. So like am I what do you think? Like, do you think that if you've been to like a lot of the different cities in the US, do you think that like it's New York and LA, like those are the biggest ones and it's like between those two? I view them as like Yankees versus Red Sox, even though that's like all up in Northeast. You know what I mean though? Like the cities. I'm rambling. I tried a new tea today and it was horrible. It was like a mushroom tea, but the way they described it online was that it was like a coffee replacement and that it was disgusting. It was really disgusting. I'm not even going to tell you what it was because just don't drink it. I got to film some makeup videos. I think my camera's a little too high. All right, anyway, I'm going to start filming these again. They may be sporadic. I'm going to try to be consistent though. I don't know, maybe one a week. 2 and 3, that was a little aggressive for me. And I recently bought, I'm such an idiot. My boyfriend got me a new camera for my birthday, October. Should probably start using it. I got a new lens for it that just came, and I'm gonna get a new microphone because I know this one's really sensitive and it picks up all the like sounds that people hate. Anyway, I'm gonna set that up soon. I need to order the mic though. But I'm so stupid. This whole time I was like, I need an attachment so that I can plug my computer in and I can live stream, and I've had it this entire time. So we're gonna do that. Yeah, and I'll give you, what did I say last time? I said like the last Friday of every month. I don't know if I'll do that, but I'll probably, just because of like how sporadic this has even been, I'll probably like go into my community tab on this channel and be like, hey guys, live stream this day at this time, so that you can get like a heads up. Yeah. So I didn't check. This was just me talking about my trip. I didn't talk about any of the topics that I definitely asked you guys to give me, but we'll do that at some point, I guess, next time. So obviously, like in the comments, number 1, let me know your thoughts on whatever I was just rambling about, Los Angeles and New York. And number 2, let me know like just other topics that you want me to, and would you want me to do that for like live streams, or do you guys just want to like, if we live stream, do you just want to like chill and chat? That's what I'm leaning towards. I gotta stop playing with this. All right, guys. Great talk. I can't move because this cat is like so comfy behind me. You should see, she's laid out right now. Zyva, you're so cute. I'll take photos. I'm gonna insert photos. Did you just hear that whistle sigh? You are such a goof. You are a goof. If I get up, you're gonna fall though. You just fell. Oh my God.